Hello Internet! I am Torstein from Cinema Terror, and today I'm talking about a made-for-TV film based on the horrific murders of a psychopath that terrorized Los Angeles in the mid-80s. The movie I'm talking about is Manhunt, The Search for the Night Stalker from 1989. If you don't know, then the psychopath in question here is Richard Ramirez, dubbed the Night Stalker by the media. The case got massive media attention, and Ramirez seemed to enjoy it during the trial. A trial that would end up becoming the most expensive trial in the history of California up to that point. He was finally convinced of 13 brutal, sadistic murders in November of 1989 and was given the death penalty. For some strange reason that I can't quite comprehend, his appeal was first treated in 2006. I have no idea why it took so long, but whatever the reason was, that's just fucked up. In the meantime, he actually had groupies and even got married to a woman in 1996. He died awaiting execution in jail on June 7, 2013, after sitting on death row for more than 23 years. Manhunt, Search for the Night Stalker was produced during the trial and was released just days after Ramirez was sentenced. The film, probably due to both being made for TV and being made at a time when people still lived in fear of this lowlife, even if it was locked up, goes as safe as possible, trying to avoid the grisly details and keeping the murder scenes lacking of as much blood as possible. Hell, in the opening scene, a woman is shot in her hand, and you have to guess where or if she had really been shot before it is explained to us with dialogue in one of the upcoming scenes. It's totally understandable that they wanted to be sensitive, and it was probably the right thing to do at the time. This summer we are getting a movie here in Norway about the heinous mass murders that took place here in Norway 7 years ago, and I can't see myself being ready to see that film for several more years, and would probably postpone it even more if I'd heard it turn out to be a gore-fest of a movie. I say that as what I'm going to say will be pretty hypocritical of me, but I wanted more grim violence in Manhunt. Yeah, easy for me to say that's not emotionally attached to the murders, but I guess that's just how we work. It's just that as a standalone movie, removed from the horrible real events, the film would actually have benefited from more violence. But again, I can totally understand why they didn't go that route. Since they didn't focus too much on the terrible acts, we instead get the story from the eyes of detectives Frank Salerno and Jill Carillo, played by Richard Jordan and A. Martinez respectively. We see these two detectives and we see how this case is not only terrifying all the citizens, but has also gotten under the skin of these two hard, rough cops who have been through the ringer before. In fact, Frank Salerno was actually the leading detective on the case of the Hillside Strangler in the late 70s.
Listen, when you get into the whodunit part, why don't you let me know? I'll make you a hero again.
Ah, the truth comes out. Ann Clark was your press agent on the Hillside Strangler case?
Yeah, she did her best to screw up that case, too.
There is an effort in making the cops be good guys and regular people. Even the police chief, a character that in a normal movie would be an angry shithead, is actually given a sympathetic part. Some of the emotional scenes do work, while some of them seems to go a bit overboard and become too much like a TV soap opera. I especially disliked the scene between Gil Carillo, who was my favorite character in the film, and Julie Carmen as his wife Pearl, as I hated her dialogue delivery and thought they could have made this into a more emotional scene instead of just a couple's dispute.
Okay, look, let's just talk this out, all right? I'm doing the best I can, sweetheart. You feel like I'm letting you down, is that it?
You hit it on the nose. You're damn right, you're letting me down.
There is also a reporter included in the story, basically only to get the dilemma of what is right to report on the news and what should be kept secret. An interesting topic in itself, that I would say is even more relevant today than before, but this part of the film seems a bit underwritten to me.
It's the only evidence we got. And if you go on the air with this, that killer will probably dump the sneakers and we'll never be able to identify him.
Damn it, Frank, that's not fair!
There are some scenes that should come off as a bit intense for those who are used to watching tamer stuff like this, as the nighttime POV shots from Ramirez are done quite well. You already know how terrible this guy is, so seeing him walking around stalking for new victims can get under your skin. I also like that they gave Ramirez a pretty lame look. He does not come off as charming or evil when you see him. Instead he looks a bit tiny and dumb. They obviously did not want to play up the bigger-than-life character that he himself tried to become during the trial. It shows that he was not some mastermind, but rather just a guy who had no empathy towards others. In later years, there have been more details regarding why he might have turned out this way, but this movie couldn't care less about him. It's all the people he affected that gets the attention. Perhaps rightfully so. Manhunt: Search for the Night Stalker is a good TV movie. It is not made for horror hounds, so don't expect any blood or gore in this, as that's clearly not its intent. If you are interested in the Richard Ramirez story and all the grisly details, then there are documentaries out there that might give you more creeps than this film. If you want a more safer approach to these gruesome acts, then Manhunt should be your choice. Surprisingly solid, Manhunt: Search for the Night Stalker gets a well-deserving 3.5 out of 5. Have you seen this film? Did you think it was correct to keep the violence tame, out of respect for everyone involved? Any other made-for-TV films of the 80s that more people should check out? If you enjoy serial killer movies in general and don't care if they are based on real life or not, then check out my review of the hilariously bad Zipperface. If you enjoyed this video, then there are plenty more on my channel. A like or a good feedback in the comment section lets me know I should do more reviews of movies like this. Hope you're having a good evening, and I hope you'll return again to hear me talk about movies here on Cinema Terror.